Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Alex Koons, and we're sitting here at Hot Tongue, and I am about to pull a heater out of the oven. I am bringing you a big one today. I sat down in Vegas with none other than Mike Bausch of Andolini's Pizza out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And man, Mike wears a lot of hats. He is a consultant. He is an author. He is the president of the World Pizza Champions. He has 5 pizza restaurants, a fine dining concept, gelato. He's probably the mayor of Tulsa, low key. The first thing I asked him was about time management, and he talks about focus, laser focusing in on one thing at a time and really working hard on that. Talks about delegation, which is obviously important when you're wearing so many hats. He served in the Marines, which means you gotta have self-discipline. Mike is an author of one of the best pizza books out there, The Unsliced Method. Mike put together, talks about everything from your purveyors being partners or pariahs, the power of a whiteboard, management strategies. It's an all-encompassing book that just covers so much. Mike actually turned the Unsliced Method into a consultancy program. There's a digital module, there's an actual graduation, homework, Zoom sessions where you're checking in with Mike face-to-face. It sounds pretty awesome. We'll link that in the show notes. Mike is a world record holder. Him and the World Pizza Champions broke the record for world's biggest pizza party, which may be one of the coolest pizza world records you could make, but they did it in Oklahoma. They hold the record till today, and they raised a lot of money. We talk about how to manage such a big team. When you have so many restaurants, delegating and creating the systems you need to grow to that kind of scale. Mike has digitalized his training program with YouTube videos that his staff can use for training, which is unbelievable and a great way to stay consistent across the board so everyone is getting the same information every time. It was awesome sitting down with Mike. This is a dude that I was nervous to talk to because I've read his book, I've seen him around Expo, I've never really talked to the man. He was so generous with his time. I know he had a packed schedule. He made time for us. He got right back to me when I asked him to do this podcast. That's what this community to me is all about. You reach out to these people that you think maybe won't have time, and they make time for you. Mike's a stand-up guy. I really appreciate him coming on. I know you're going to enjoy this. It's full of information. And Mike, warmly I say, amber is the color of your energy. 311, all day long. I'm down, you're down. Let's get down to Mike Bausch, Andolini's Pizza, world record holder. Let's go. Pardon the interruption, but we need to take some time to mention our sponsor, Maestro Sausage. Maestro has been working closely with pizzerias for decades. They produce sausages designed specifically with pizzerias in mind. And you can tell, their Italian sausage crumbles look like they were handmade in your shop, and they will taste that way as well. With over 80 years in business, family owned and operated, the family is incredible, and so is their product. It's quality sausage with quality ingredients. If your sausage needs aren't hitting all the right notes, then let Maestro lead the way. Click the link in the show notes. A classical masterpiece awaits you. Back to the show. Well, I want to start off with just basically asking you how you have time for everything. I think like a lot of people even just ask me like, how do you have a podcast and run a business? But you have like 5 Andolinis. You have a gelato store. You have your hand in. I mean, I'm sure you helped write that book. You're breaking world records. You wrote a book. The recipe book just came out. What's the secret in time management?
I could detail it because I've gotten really good at it. Like, there's a few simple things. Like, when I'm not working, I don't work. Like when with my wife or son, it's not that. It's going so hard on that. I think a lot of people have 20 different computer programs open in their life. And none of them are doing anything. So if it's, okay, I'm working on this book, I'm going to do it as a scheduled appointment for 45 minutes tonight. Headphones in, nothing else, no other app. Go for 45 minutes, put it down when it's done. Get a lot of progress when you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Emails, I'm going to answer all the emails that matter. It used to be every email to inbox zero every day, no matter what, or no matter what. And now it's, what's the biggest win I want this week? I want to have these 3 things happen. Okay, let's get those 3 things to happen. And then if we respond to this other email, great. And then proper delegation and triaging stuff, which at first seems like, even with our staff, I was like triaging a lot. They're like, I can't take all this triage stuff. So if you outsource something that's just menial to a VA at this point, like I couldn't have done that 5 years ago. I'm starting to do it now.
Yeah.
But that's cool. It helps a lot. And then every store, define KPIs, like who is doing what. There's a lot that I did opening, my first store where it was me in the store at 5 a.m., leaving the store at midnight, sleeping in the store at times and not leaving for 48 hours. There's all those great hardworking stories, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs have. But at some point you have to say, okay, I've earned my grit. Now I want to be a business. I want to still hold on to like the value proposition of knowing my product and having a true knowledge of what I do. But there's the romanticized beauty of the one guy making the one pizza, every single thing himself, I love. I mean, you think of like Anthony Maggieri, Don DeMarco, there's a romance to it. But at some point, if you want to grow, and not just for yourself, have your staff make more money, have more people have jobs. If your mission is grander than one guy, one oven, then you have to be able to delegate and trust people.
Yeah. To take this step back, like you started in 2005, so it's like,
yeah.
Also, I'm asking a question about time, and this man is wearing 2 watches.
Me?
I do.
No, I got. This is a health one.
Oh, I was like,
this is my.
I was like, yeah, this is what you got.
Whoop,
yeah. Okay. I was like,
in fairness, I double dip.
I was like, damn, dude.
But this one tells me how well I actually. I'm also type 1 diabetic. So my backstory is I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And I learned like how much you could be sleep deprived, how much you can get done in a day, how clean things could be. Like certain things like that helped me a lot. And then I did all that not knowing I had type 1 juvenile diabetes. So I had done all this at 135 pounds, no muscle, no fat. So if I like set my mind on something, I knew, okay, I can do stuff. So when someone was saying, I can open a restaurant, you're gonna have to make the dough. Like I can get up. I can do that. That's not hard.
Well, it's discipline, right? Yeah. It's like self-discipline. And I mean, did you always have that, or was that something that like was really kind of ingrained into you after serving?
I think I did always have it because my dad was a lieutenant colonel, and like when I would do a sport, if someone was like, hey, do this, I liked that. I still was funny and had friends. I wasn't a goody two-shoes, but I did thrive on, hey, if someone says something and they are an authority figure that has respect, it's like caring about what they do.
Yeah.
Great. If they're BS, like if they're just half-assing, I'll call out my superior real quick, whoever's ahead of me.
Yeah.
And that's why I like being my own boss, because I don't like being beholden to someone who's not driving as hard as I wanted to get drived.
Yeah. Well, let me take it back to 2005. So
okay.
I know you like shoestringed your first store and you got it up and running, but how long did it take to be like, okay, Mike needs to like, I need to get it to, because I think there comes a point where like you have to step back to get ahead. Mm-hmm. And how long did that take you? And when was the aha moment that it's like, if I really want to succeed, I need to get out of this shop?
When we opened our second store at Cherry Street, it hit really hard, which was great. And my manager at the time, when I was like, okay, now I'll start training these guys and go back to train my people at the other store, like that just got hired. We had people that we had promoted from the other store, and he's like, you've built the training program, right? I'm like, yeah, and these guys are here, right? He's like, okay, let them train them. I was like, okay. I've never actually had anyone else train anyone. That's fair. That makes sense. And I'll just verify the training. So that was at store 2. And still I was at both stores. And then store 3, going to all 3 stores, almost every day. Then 4 and 5, still like doing all that. And I realized I was just putting more and more weight on my back and thinking I could walk it. And I could. Then it was like, got married, and I was just still, okay, hey, it's Friday, it's Saturday, I'll be back at 1 for a while. And then it kind of got old. And then when we had a kid, I was like, all right, this is run its course.
Yeah.
And I had been creating systems to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
To move on to the next brand, because I wanted it to be big. I wanted it to be enough, because it's a really weird dynamic in business where you get to 4 and you have to have overhead. But now the overhead of a payroll person, of a bookkeeper, is like, I got to get to 9 to really afford these people.
Yeah.
And I know the formula, so let's just do more. But it has to become formulaic. It can't be a crapshoot. And that's another part of it. Like, what did we do? Okay, document it. Write it all down. It's not super hard to just stop and reflect, but I think a lot of people don't do it.
Somebody mentioned that I've talked to you before. They said that like between 6 and 16 units, they have like 25 in the UK now. They weren't making any more money from 6 to 16 because like they had to go through that, like all that growth to get back to where they were. Like being able to, after having 4 units, is that when you like have to look into maybe your own HRs, or like a director of operations, or like, do you have all those things now?
I have a director of operations, and we did that at about 4 stores. The HR thing, like, HR is a weird word or a weird term because it's like some people associate it with just doing payroll. Some people associate it with like, who do I go to when I think someone's being inappropriate?
Yeah.
It's a vast array of things. And the person who's doing payroll is not necessarily equipped to be the person talking to me. Like, so I export certain things. Like if there's a problem, we have it go through the ranks of management. And then if we believe something is egregious enough, we call in a disinterested third party to do the HR.
Yeah.
For hire. So that's been good for that. Payroll, yes, we have a payroll person. We have a bookkeeper. We just brought on last year an IT person, and not purely for the IT, like, hey, this store needs this or this store needs that fixed, but deep diving in all things Toast.
Yeah.
When one store has the internet go down, getting it up as fast as possible, double verifying, because everything is so predicated upon tech now that all the apps work or that the phone is working because it's a.
Those are important things in a restaurant.
Yeah, and the landline you could like be pretty certain worked.
Yeah.
And now that the landline is on VoIP and it's connected to the credit card processing, verifying that every day matters. So we have an IT guy for that. So it just shifts.
Yeah. Did you ever use consultants for your business?
Yes, we have. I have seen a lot of them come through over the years. The first like restaurant consultants I was looking up, whether it was calling someone and like just having a conversation or fully like engaging services, they didn't really do it. It wasn't what I was looking for. I then consulted with an EOS implementer, which is a massive like corporate for independent businesses, and that's not really available to like a small business. So I took a lot of the stuff from it, and when I say small business, I mean like small independent restaurants.
Yeah.
If you have a tech company of 10 people, but it's like doing $20 million a year, they'll get EOS. Restaurants had never really messed with it, so I took that on, and that helped a lot. It helped me get out of my way, and it's a lot of what I put into my own program in a delineated, restaurant-focused way. Other stuff I've done was just not so much food. Sometimes interior design consultants, but I like to find like the sniper of what that person does instead of someone that says, we do restaurant consulting and like we're a firm. And my next question is, okay, how many restaurants have you guys owned? Mm-hmm. Usually it's not many, or it's like 0. It's like, well, I worked at Applebee's in 2002 to 2005. I'm like, I don't want your advice.
Yeah.
I don't think you're the right person we need right now.
Yeah. Well, you have designed your own restaurant system.
Yep.
The Unsliced system.
Yep. Can
you just tell? I mean, like, obviously, you can't give it all away.
I can tell you a lot about it.
If you want to talk about that.
Well, I wrote Unsliced with no angle. People will write a book where it's like, hey, here's the story of me, and I went through puberty and was amazing in high school, and I did so much stuff. Look at me. And mine was like, here's how we sucked. Here's how we fixed this. Here's what I believe. It's like my management program is in there. I was just putting all this stuff in there. It was purely to get it out of my head. There was no angle. Book sales are not a lot.
They weren't that a lot?
I'm saying book sale, you could sell thousands of books. It's like a few $100.
Well, the cool thing about that book, it was cool that you narrated it, but it did feel kind of like it was like it was almost like a podcast of you like just talking about your experience, you know, everything from like how to treat your management team to like the power of a whiteboard.
Yes.
You know, and then like ending it with the song, you know. It was like just it was really well done, you know.
Thank
I mean,
you.
in that book too is you go and if you want some help, go read that, you know.
That
So you're
was
giving
my-
it away for fairly cheap. Was it like a audiobook is $12.99. Go cop it.
And I get $5 off that. Like,
Nice.
it's not, the book was not the angle. Like, it was purely, and I was in a room where I learned from a guy named Tucker Max who had wrote, like, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. This guy, really, I went to the best book people to learn how to write a book. I knew all the material, but they're like, here's how to organize it. You're going to write it. We're going to give you an editor to make sure that they tell you what sucks or what to add more of. So I had very solid ass editors. The same company that wrote or helped David Goggins write his book, Can't Hurt Me. So I had a great team, but they did not write one word. And then it was just like, lean into you. Like, people want to see you. I had this realization that most restaurant guys, and especially pizza guys, do not want to read a milquetoast book.
Yeah.
So I wanted to curse in it, just like it was a podcast. To your point, you caught on to that. It's like, make it very authentic and real, and then give as much value as possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to hurt me. And I think I do that because of, you know, Tony Gimignani was very cool to me when I was young, and he absolutely didn't have to be.
Yeah.
No benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're tight and, you know, released a book yesterday. The course, though, I will have people DM me like, hey, this whiteboard thing's cool. Like, can I get it? Okay. Then it was, hey, this other thing is great, but I don't really know how to use her. You mentioned this. So I get DMs all the time, and then people say, hey, can you fly out and consult for us? I just don't have that in me. I've done it once or twice. So it's like, I don't like being away. I don't like being away here for a week. Here is right at my limit. Like, but doing that more any other time of the year, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So I thought, what can I do to go through the issues? And I wrote them all on the board, what I thought someone would need. And then I interviewed 50 different restaurant owners, not all pizza, about what are the issues that you run into. And they were surprisingly different, but also it was essentially 8 things. And sometimes they had 2 things figured out, but these 4 were, you know, but it was 8 things. And the way I could delineate it down is they're having issues with their ownership, like married couple, or they're not having enough time, or brothers are fighting. The next issue, and so I got into all things vision planning. The next one is they just don't understand financials. That scares them. They got into this to make food, not to be an accountant, and they give it away to someone else, and they don't know what's going on. That's a typical one. Next one is marketing. They like have no idea what they're doing with marketing, or they have a good idea, but it's just not connecting.
Yeah.
Or they're spending money on stuff and they have no idea if it's legitimate. So I get into all things financials, then metrics, then employees. It's like, I just can't get these kids to work. I'm like, well, they don't know what to do. So how to train them, how to onboard them, and then how to retain through staff development parties, just normal stuff, but here's exactly how to do it. And instead of guessing and trying to do 5 staff development parties and some of them fail or some of them succeed, I'm like, here's the exact way to plan it. Here's the exact way to throw it. Do it this way, and this is how you'll have success. It's just that one out of like about 500 things that are mentioned in the program. Then I get into vendor negotiations. Just if you say, hey, this cheese is too expensive. Sorry, that's the market. Like, if you say certain things to a vendor, if you're like working with them and they believe that you're on the team, you'll get a lot more accomplished. Or you cut them. And I consider that, are they a partner or a pariah?
Yeah.
Every vendor we have is either a partner or a pariah.
Yeah.
And you got to try and turn the pariah into a partner or be able to cut them loose. And that also means you're evaluating it. Some people, if they look at their whole like general ledger stack, like I haven't talked to that guy in 2 years. So why would they be on your team?
Yeah.
You haven't addressed them. You haven't done anything for them even.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. And then the last part is systemizing. Like all the things I've done to create it, and now it's like, all right, that's the standard operating procedure for that. Cool. That person does that once a week and I verify it, as opposed to, no, I got to be the guy. I do that. And, well, do you like doing it? No, but I mean, no one else could do that. Getting people past that.
Yeah. So you basically take all that information, you've created systems, and so like when somebody signs up, you give them the process, you give them the tools, and then is there like personal check-ins with you and stuff?
I'm big on that too. So they essentially have a module course.
Yeah.
They're doing it like I'm right there with them. Then there's a weekly Zoom call, and then there's an accountability chart that they're beholden to fill out. And then if they're like, hey, we don't need to do training. Ours is okay. We want to do yours, but then they move it to parking lot. So there's things that they're immediately going to work on, which I'm like, okay, it sounds like you got to work on this the most. Go through it all, but that's what you need. And then they submit all their stuff to graduate the course. So they have to have certain things all created.
Yeah.
Certain things are prereqs. Other things are due in time. And then once they graduate, I then go through it again and say, okay, over the course of the next year, here's your parking lot items. Let's triage when they'll occur, and then go do them.
Yeah.
And now it's their boulder to break.
Yeah.
But now they have a jackhammer instead of their fists to break it up.
Yeah. We're just like a little hammer.
I think
I'm not getting anywhere.
I think that's the thing. You start with a fist, and then you're like, I got a hammer and chisel. Is this working? Is it working? Is it working? I'm like, here's a jackhammer.
Back to the book. Was that something you always wanted to do? Like write a book, or was like that just like where, I don't want to talk about the world record, like where do these things come from? Is Mikey Bausch's mind just always thinking about the next thing? And then like, how do you, people always are like, oh, I could never do that. But you have the idea, and then how do you like implement something like that too? I want to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, MailWise Solutions. MailWise Solutions takes advertising to the next level. They design, print, and direct mail, menus, flyers, and postcards for pizzerias all across the United States. I've worked with MailWise before. I tried to design my own menu, and Kevin said, hey, give me a stab at this, and holy shit. When he sent me back the menu, I was like, I thought I was okay at what I did, and his design team blew me away. There's no mailing contracts, so you're free to advertise on your own schedule. Click the link in the show notes or request a sample pack at mailwisesolutions.com. Let's get you some new customers today.
Nearly dying at 21, and you start to look at life, and I'm like, and then I had type 1 diabetes. I was like, okay, do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to be a lawyer in San Francisco to get someone's coffee for the next 20 years? It's like, I could just open my own restaurant. My brother's moving to Tulsa. I could do that.
Yeah.
And then you do it. You're like, oh, crap. Like, I just did that. And I did it, my way. Mm-hmm. Then, especially back then, my diabetes was not in control that much. I didn't know how much time I had left. Mm-hmm. I'm thankful that I've learned to figure it out. But I think at the time, I was like, all right, dumbass, you got 20 years on this clock. What are you doing with it? And so anytime I had something in front of me that presented itself, I was just like, what do I want to do? Okay, go do it. And without really having, again, I think most motivator type people, like, you got to have goals, and it sounds like happy horse crap, but I was really, what's my bucket list of life? Okay, I want to be able to have enough to say to help people to actually do something with it. Not to have the story be about me, but to actually do something that it could be bigger than me. And I went to a high school where it's all about helping others. So that there, again, no other thing. Just, do I have enough to say to help? I think I do in like 2015. Then more ideas. I just kept writing ideas. If I ever did this. I think a lot of people say, oh, I would love to write a book one day.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, I was like, all right, well, how do I get this figured out? And then 2019, I found the right company that just went all in on it for a year and released it at the end of COVID, which was, or not the end of 2020. And then it was, okay, cool, that was crazy. And then someone else was like, the World Pizza Champions team was kind of like loose and not really on the same page in 2017. And when I was talking to certain people, I was thinking, like, what if we were all doing cool stuff together? Wouldn't it make more sense if instead of Ant-Man and Thor, we were the Avengers? Wouldn't that be cooler for all of us to have that? And, okay, who's going to do it? I'll do it. So kind of pushed it, had Tony as the lead, and pushed that further. And then it was like, well, we could do something cool. What could we do? I was like, we could do a book. And that was actually Laura's idea. And then she's like, she's Laura Meyer, Tony's former number 2, now has her own restaurant. And I said, all right, let me look into it. And then it became a behemoth. The Guinness thing, I thought that was going to be a layup. I thought that was, doing the second Guinness record, I thought that was going to be like, all right, we'll just do it. That was way harder than I thought. But once we got like knee deep in it, I was like, okay, game on. we got to keep going now.
Yeah, but like, what's the planning for that? You got to get the proctor. Is there insurance situations like finding that venue? Like I mean, it's a huge production.
Mm-hmm.
And
It turned into it.
I mean, was that like over a year of planning?
No, it was.
Well, you do that in like 3 months. I feel like you have some pull in Tulsa, though. You know,
I had the pull.
You got some
the
pull.
Tulsa
You
pull
got some
helped out a
pull.
lot. So that was 6 months of planning. It was like called up Guinness, who is not easy to get on the phone.
I believe that.
They are not like people think that there's like, hey Guinness, we're right here. Let us help you create.
I'll be right down, Nashme.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want to?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah.
No, they're like, it's like a bunch of NYU kids who don't give a crap. Like I don't. That's the vibe I got. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, we have your request. We will call you back in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. So then it was, all right, which contest do you want to do? I'm like, this one looks good. Okay, we'll send you the info on it. And then I'm like, then it gets into the rules and asking questions. Every question took like 2 weeks to get back. So we didn't have a good idea. I had found a venue that was outdoor, but it was January. I was scared that wasn't going to work. And then I just started asking around, and then I heard TU would love to have more focus on the community.
Yeah.
Then it looked like that a day before a basketball game was going to work, and they were into it, but they didn't confirm till they got back from Christmas break. So truly that whole planning thing, 2 weeks when I really break it down.
That's crazy because like on Instagram, like everything looks a little different, but like it looked so well done. It's so organized.
The team coming out to do a Guinness record, we knew TU wanted to do it.
Yeah.
We didn't have confirmation of what they would do and would not do till January. We knew they were into it by December.
Yeah.
We had confirmed that we were going to do this book and Guinness in January on a certain day, and we locked that in December. Then, we really threw a wrench in everything. Pizza Hut with Eric, a YouTuber.
I saw this.
They said that they were going to do the world's largest pizza and the Guinness record. And they decided they were going to do that 3 days ahead of us because I think, I don't have any antipathy, but I think they were like, well, if these guys break it to 2,000, we should break it right before them. And if they break ours, cool. So they were going to go for like 2,000, and they had Pizza Hut, YouTube, and all that money behind them. They did it in LA, which is a tier 1 city, but they did it on a Wednesday night. They had Young Gravy performing, but they had no logistics. And they didn't break 1,000. And it was also the proctors. You have the Guinness guy come out.
You have to pay for the proctors?
You have to pay for Guinness.
Okay.
And then the other people who, for every 50 people, have to verify that they ate.
Yeah.
Those are volunteers.
Okay.
But they have to have absolutely no association with the brand. So you have to find them. So with TU, we're like, hey, what can you do? And they got us like sorority kits.
That's nice.
Yeah, that worked out.
Yeah, the one in LA was a big flop, I think.
I mean, New York had flopped. Chicago had flopped. And I will say our logistics are tight. When we say, okay, exactly, then walk it through. Coming up with, I will think about everything that could fail, walk it through over. And I think, you could throw money at a lot of stuff, but you can't throw money at logistics.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be tight, especially in something like that. Mm-hmm. When it's like, it's timed too, right?
Yeah, they had to stay in place for 15 minutes, eating 2 full slices and their full drink. If they did not eat and consume the full 2 slices and drink, they were a DQ.
Yeah, just getting people to follow directions, just getting people to read a slice sign is hard.
Yep, that's super hard.
Yeah.
So it was like, line up, here's a bullhorn, here's your paper, here's the rules, get this, do not open this, sit down, do not open this.
Yeah.
We're going to feed you more pizza after. I couldn't allow kids to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Mommy, I'm full. Like,
yeah.
It's like, no, my kid.
That's not the point.
Eat them. So I'd make
leave
pizzas.
it closed.
I'm like, what's the smallest amount of pizza that I could do and still have this land? And it was so small. It was like two slices of a 10-inch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and Andolini's made all the pizza.
Yeah. So to then feed then I felt like a jerk for someone who came to have a pizza party. And I was like, 2 slices, like Costco samples. We had more pizza for after the event. Now go eat more pizza.
Yeah. Well,
so we
made a little appetizer.
Yeah. So we had to make like 1,200 pizzas and abide by health department rules. So here's where it also screws up is have to abide by health department rules and make it within, from oven to mouth within 2.5 hours.
How many were all the stores working on that? Yeah. Well, let's talk about food for a second.
All right.
How did you just teach yourself how to make pizza? Like in 2005, when you're opening that place up, it was like, I can do pizza. You know, I know you got into it with your brother.
Yeah.
What's his main deal?
So my brother's 15 years older than me, and
Yeah.
he was vice president of Alamo Rent-A-Car. He is.
Oh, he's got that corporate mindset too.
Yeah, he came from a corporate world, and he's interesting that he wasn't big on school, but he started as a rental agent at Alamo Rent-A-Car and went on to become vice president of the company.
It's incredible.
I came out of college and was just like, and he was just so over the corporate world. He was like, again, if our leader isn't leading or if it's just changing and people are just checking the box, we hate that. I cannot stand someone who's not into it, who's telling me what to do.
Yeah.
So from a food perspective, we had both worked several restaurants to pay for whatever we had done in our lives. Both had worked pizza. That does not qualify me to own a pizza place. It just doesn't. Neither him. I'd worked fine dining too in California. And the opening it was like, okay, let's take our recipes that we've worked in and put it together at the house. It was all right. But I kept thinking to myself, I ain't drive halfway across America to suck at making pizza. So when we got open, it was the best pizza in the suburb of Tulsa, Owasso. I could hang my hat on that.
Yeah.
That is not the goal. So then there was little information. It was such a vastly different world, 2005, than even 2008. No YouTube, no Twitter, no Facebook. No one's sharing information.
Had you already been to an expo at that point?
No.
Okay.
I got the LLC 2004, opened January 8th, 2005, went to the first expo March of 2006. So I have no idea. That first year was just pure pain, absolute pain, no real knowledge of what we're doing. And I think where a lot of people are at pre-expo first store. I am not God's gift to pizza. Then it was, what could we do that would be cool? We're throwing everything on the wall. Like we were selling frozen raviolis in my story. Like maybe this will be cool. Maybe that'll be cool. Maybe that'll be cool. Let's have 30 sandwiches on the menu like a dumbass.
I feel like everyone's got to go through that though.
We're gonna do this. It's gonna be amazing. And then we were like making fresh mozzarella. Though we did that early on. Like I didn't know anyone that was doing that. We thought about getting fresh curd, stretching fresh mozz, and having that be something. And that took. People were like, You guys did that? Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we're like, more of that. Okay. And then I went to Expo. Then I had not even met Tony Gimignani, but I read a story that he was going to Italy to do a course on pizza making, and that he wanted to bring it back, and he was going to bring Italians back to America. This was like a small blurb in an article in a trade magazine, and then I hit him up and said, "Can I go to that?" And he's like, "Well,
hold on. Did you just like cold email him?
I cold called him.
You called him on the landline.
I called the restaurant, and I said, "Hey, I said I had some questions before that once," and he answered it. And then like 2 years later, I said, "Hey, is this happening? Can I go to that?" He didn't remember me, and he's like, "If you could make it to Manteca, California, in like 3 weeks, sure." And I did not have the money to pull that off, and I just figured it out. Slept on a friend's, because it's near where I grew up.
Yeah.
Slept on a friend's couch and went and did it.
Yeah.
And then did that course, and I was in the room with like Joe Carlucci and all these guys that were hitting it, 10 to 15 years deep, and I was absorbing the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And just took that day, like, oh, this is wrong about our dough, this is wrong, do this, do this. I was calling the store and like calling an audible on everything that we were doing. And then I took it and was like, okay, what if we did that with our flour? What if we did that with a little bit of a spin? And then it was just, now I'm seeing this dough process, and the pizza's kind of fixed, and the fresh mozzarella thing, even they were impressed about. They asked me to be on their team because of that, and it was very just natural. And then I saw another restaurant open selling our same frozen ravioli that we had made popular, like this niche ravioli that we were buying by the case to have it, flown into Oklahoma. Well, someone else did that. So I was like, you thought you were special, Bausch. You bought your frozen ravioli that anyone else can buy.
Yeah.
Never do that again. And that was a lesson. And, this is like our first few lessons. And now we have great pizza. Now we have better, unique items that are all us. The ambiance was it was Bush League, but it's just predicated upon us enjoying the environment with the customer. And then it was getting to a point where we wanted to go to a second store, and we built the second store. Finally, it took years, and we didn't have the money to pay someone, so we were building it ourselves. Like, the bricks were laid by us.
Yeah.
And at that point, we built it to look nicer than we ever thought it would.
Yeah.
And then our brand was like, oh, wow, we're like upscaling crap now. Okay, let's act the part.
The vibe changed.
It had layers of vibe.
Well, it's interesting because like that first store, like the awning, like it does look a little different than that second. Like the brand got elevated too.
For sure. So you've seen it. The first store is a strip mall.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's still a strip mall. But we at least had hey, family fun with Andolini.
Yeah.
Come into the booth, push your kids in the corner. They can freak out. They can't go anywhere. That was the goal. It's pure family dining.
Yeah.
Cool. There's a place for that. Go to the new store. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had tint ceilings? Wouldn't it be cool if we had wood? Just because we thought it was cool, because we could build this one with some level of from the ground up. The other one we couldn't. We were fixing it. And then when someone came in on a date, I was like, they're on a date here? And I was like, uh-oh, we got to. Because we had seen families come in that afternoon, but now it's like 6 to 8 and people are coming in on dates. And then I saw like the cool kids crowd coming in from 8 till 11. And then a late night crowd was developing. And I thought, we don't have odd demo. We have anyone who wants to be in on the pizza scene, who wants to say, I know pizza. So that's our demo. It's many. The ICA, or ideal customer, is still, someone who makes this much money, and that's what we're going to cater to on certain marketing. But we are going about this wrong, and we have to fix it.
Do you have full liquor and beer in all of your locations?
Now we do.
Okay.
We did not start that way.
How has, because I'm always interested, how does that change your profit and processes when you add like a full bar concept?
The bar.
And do you recommend it?
I absolutely recommend it.
Ooh, we want the vegan meats. We want the vegan cheeses.
Are people coming up to you and asking you, do you have vegan options? Do you have vegan meats? Well, guess what? A lot of them are not that good, but there is one that reigns superior, and that is Beehive. Everything that they make at Beehive is levels ahead of what you can get in a grocery store. Their pepperoni, their crumbled sausage, their cheeses. There is no contest. And the owner is one of the coolest people I have ever met. They make incredible products that go on your pizza, and it is dope plant food. That's what they call it, and that's what it is. Beehive, the best. Look no further. It's Beehive, baby. Straight out of Nashville. Good people, great product. Check them out.
It depends on where you live and what you're going. Like, a full bar at our first restaurant would have been hard at the time, because it was a very hard thing to do to get a license in that town.
Yeah.
It's not anymore. And if you have a chain restaurant with a bar in your town, then it's possible to get a bar in your restaurant. And then here's the rub. If you're a restaurant person, a pizza guy, and you're like, that's all I want to focus on, I get it. You will make more money if you use part of that space as a bar. If someone comes in to order an entree, they are going to order one entree. If someone comes in to drink, they will drink anywhere from 2 to however many you're willing to serve them.
Yeah.
So it has significantly more profit potential, even before we get into the profit that you can get out of one bottle of vodka, let alone compared to a beer.
Yeah.
The inverse problem is people will build it like a bar in a pizza place.
Instead of the other way around.
Exactly. It has to stand on its own. If you were to act, the best way you could do all things business is, how would I conduct this if this was all it was? And then work outward. So if this was just a bar, what would the bartender look like? How many seats would there be? What would be on the menu? Then do that. If you want to do catering, what would you do if you were purely a caterer? Then do that, which is get a catering director, be at catering events, have a catering menu, have sit downs with people who want large events, DMing people on LinkedIn. All that stuff is what a catering company would do. So hey, we want to get more catering. Then go get it. It's just, the effort.
Yeah. And you have catering.
Big time, yeah.
It's a big
It's a
big
big
part.
thing for us now, yeah.
Is that a year-round thing, or is it mostly? Yeah.
We have a full-time catering director. I mean, she could do a few cold DMs on LinkedIn turned into a $65,000 order.
65 G's.
Over the course of 2 days. It's stuff like that I'm like, yes, we absolutely keep DMing, keep meeting people on LinkedIn, keep dropping off pizzas to the local dentist office. It's and also weddings is a massive thing for us. The amount of weddings we do is insane.
And is that usually with the truck, or do you like just do on-site
Everything.
cooking? Yeah.
It started with the food truck.
Yeah.
Like people are like, hey, we want to get married and do something kind of cool. That's just what we love. Great. Truck. And then, well, the truck's booked. Well, can you do this? But hey, can you also serve chicken? Like, yes, Roma will sell us chicken breast. We could do that too.
Yeah.
So that became a thing. Like, we want to do this. We want to do that. We could do it. Then we grew that out. And then the weddings are really, really solid, but they're also a one-time, hopefully, thing. So we leaned more back into corporate because it's actually easier. But the weddings are great. And being a part of people's day hits on an emotional level.
Yeah.
That'll last a long time, especially if you do it well. And you are reaching a whole new audience.
Of course.
So, yeah, it's big time.
Wow. When you do on-site cooking like that, what kind of ovens are you bringing on?
Well, on-site, when you say on-site, I thought you meant like referencing serving certain things on-site. Like,
yeah.
So we opened a fine dining restaurant. So even if they want super avant-garde, there might be like a pasta wheel on-site.
Yeah.
Doing that type of thing. And it's really whatever they
put together.
It's with a bride, what's your ideal? And then let's fit it into your budget. And whatever we can do that makes sense, we will do. I will say this, for a long time we were staffing them ourselves.
Yeah.
And it became too gnarly for certain, like if you had 10 weddings to do on a weekend, which we do in October, we have no staff left.
Yeah.
So we had to say, hey, use us and then we'll triage you to the staffing company because it was too debilitating to lose.
Oh, that's
all
nice.
Our
So
people.
you just do the food and then it gets staffed by someone else.
But we have a very tight relationship with the staffing
them.
company to know exactly our standards and making it happen and being on the same page with them. So that's not like, oh, that's them. Like,
yeah, so it's not like a DoorDash situation where somebody comes, picks up 15 pizzas on a scooter.
Yes, it's not that. It's a fair way to represent it, though, because that's our fear.
Yeah.
That was our big fear, that it would be out of our hands. So we had to get a great staffing company and meet with them a lot.
Getting into getting out of pizza, like you have the fine dining situation. Now there's like a gelato situation. Zaza's, is that did she used to work at Andolini's?
Yeah.
And then did you guys just partnered together to open that concept? Because that's like cool, like.
Yeah, Tara's was, been with me since she was like 16.
Yeah.
And I think the world over, she's competing here. I encouraged her to she like had some awareness of it. And she was doing more of it. And I said, I want to take you to Pizza Expo and have you toss. And she was horrible her first year, but she met people like Seiler who took her. I had some, I mean, I could throw, not to that degree.
Yeah.
And she took it and ran with it. And then as she was growing and doing more stuff, and she was like, I want to come up with like really eclectic pizzas. I said, great. And she just ran with it.
Yeah.
And I dig it and she digs it and she does her own thing. But the beauty of it is like, it's her baby to make her items. But Andolini's is still a big passion and it's not like separate. It's under our umbrella. So it gets to be like a fun thing for all of us.
Well, you've become a restaurant group almost.
I was cognizant to not say group.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have, if you look across, like, most groups have group in the name or hospitality in the name.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I never want to have anything that I feel is, for lack of a better term, cliched.
Yeah.
So I was like, what can we call it? And just Andolini's Worldwide hit me.
I love it.
Because it's all in Tulsa.
Yeah.
So it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
And it's like, at most, when you get into like knowing me well, I do things just for the stupid like little joke. Just makes me laugh, and if it makes anyone else laugh, great. If it doesn't, I don't care.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. Prestige Worldwide. But
yeah. Oh yeah.
Andolini's
It's Step
Worldwide.
Brothers. Yeah, we've heard it before.
So that's all it was.
having that many stores and like having your team's got to be fucking huge. It's a lot of people, and I remember like seeing videos of the first time of the competition thing.
Andolini?
Yeah, like yeah. I was like, dude, this guy is fucking nuts, but it looks so much fun,
Yeah.
you know. But like, how do you maintain like being like, hey, it's just me, Mike. Like I'm here. Like I know your name. Like you know. Are you that? Or are you a figurehead? Like, how do you maintain being like a cool dude? You know what I'm saying?
So, and touch points is the way I describe it. So, me and my brother both still, if I go in the store because they need me, I'm screwing up. I'll go in the store and make pizza because I like it, and I'll go store to store. I'll go in and say hi. If there's like a young staff that hasn't met me before, the training will do a lot of that. So, video training where there's like, it's me, almost like what I did with the course. Here's a video of me. Hey, you got hired. Cool. Here's what we want out of you. Here's what will get you fired. Here's if you want to quit, like, here's who to talk to. So you're having that conversation with me.
Yeah.
The second they get hired. That's big. Then, so now they have an awareness of me when I walk in, and then just being normal. Like if they have I think at one store that didn't happen. At 2 stores it didn't happen. Once it got to like 5 stores, and they've been there for like 2 weeks and haven't met me yet for whatever reason. And they like sometimes I'm like, hey, it's okay. I'm probably not going to fire you right now. I might, but probably not going to fire you. Just bring that anxiety down, and then have fun with them. So all those things, and then when it comes to like Andomania, that's before we had Andomania.
Yeah,
it would be okay. Go do a party. They would go somewhere, get hammered.
Yeah,
that was it, and everyone just went into their little hidey hole, and
yeah.
I was like, I'm paying for this, for everyone to just drink in their hidey hole? No, we're not doing that. And then I thought, what can we do and take the aspects of Pizza Expo that are fun, make it just dorky-ass fun, bring our own beer that's low point, so because when someone like falls asleep in the bathroom because everyone's serving like,
I know.
Mai Tais all
just
night.
Ripping shots all night.
Yeah, I was like, let's not do that. So we, made it super safe with Ubers and everything. I was like, all right, which store is going to win? And building up the fanfare for it, having a title belt, just like, what can we layer on this to let them dig this job? So one aspect is it's fun, makes them better at what they do, makes them know each other better, lower staff attrition. So if I'm like, why am I going to throw my staff a party? Like, there's a lot of financial benefit to it.
100%. The team building access or the team building of that, like, do you do more than just that one thing? Because is that your holiday party, basically? Or is it every summer?
It's in the summers.
Yeah.
Typically, it'll be in the summer. We've done multiple. Sometimes it'll be individual in-store ones, but then also the summer one. The Guinness thing turned into one. So I try to shoot for like 2 things a year.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm doing pizzaiolo training. So if someone's worked on the pizza line for a few months, I'm going to give them an in-depth, like, all things history of pizza, fermentation, why dough does what it does, from the caryopsis of a wheat kernel all the way out. And my brother will take someone after they've done that and like go deep diving on all things chef and business, so that there's a development program and that they're earning some level of rank in the back of house. Servers, we're doing competitions every day. Again, self-interested, but also to keep it fun and to be more aware of us. We use 7 shifts to have communication throughout our whole tree of people.
Yeah.
And it's that constant back and forth that keeps it at this level, that they're not like, those guys are a-holes, like, or I don't know them. It fights that.
Well, just like, how many people are on your team for just in Andolini's alone? Like, how many staff members you got?
The whole group is 297 people.
Yeah, so like even just planning the like that party is a fucking huge undertaking.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Once you do it once, you document the SOP.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I know I need this thing, this thing, this thing. We have to have this carved out. And I last, like the first time I did it, it took 3 months of planning. Mm-hmm. This last one, I was super busy, and we kind of put it together in all of 2 weeks. once you knew exactly how much space, we'll order shirts, we'll get the competitions going. These are the stupid things I need to buy on Amazon for the competitions, like all that.
Is there a store that always wins?
No.
No?
It's really shifted each year.
Okay.
I'll say whichever store Tara is helping usually does pretty well.
Really?
But she's solid for motivation. But we got a guy named Willie who's amazing. Typically a store that's is being led by a leader who is the most into it will have the most chance at winning.
Yeah, because I imagine like with that many people too, some people, is it like hard for everyone to buy into it? Like it seems like a fun thing to me, but maybe some people are like, "What the fuck is this? Is that a thing?"
I think
because culture is like,
Yeah.
you want to set up all these things, you want to create a cool space, but sometimes
it's not. Once anyone that has a vibe of I'm too cool for this, pretty quickly loses that.
Okay.
Because it's not fun to be
that guy.
Yeah, and I think people realize that, and it's like, hey, there's alcohol. I'm bringing in lumpia and kick-ass food that you didn't have to make.
Yeah.
It's a party where we're doing stupid fun games, and you might have that feeling for the first 10 minutes, or if you're new, and then after half an hour, like you just want to have fun.
Yeah.
It's typically what occurs.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. Like, I think everyone kind of does want to dork out on something.
Yeah.
And they just want to feel that they're not going to be judged for it. And
Yeah.
then when you allow that, and I'm even dorking out on it, and everyone's just into it, that's when progress is made.
Yeah, you let your guard down.
Yeah.
So if I get hired at Andolini's, do I get an iPad and like you show up and it's like, "Hi, I'm Mike. This is how you do everything."
You'll have a trainer. There'll be a full training thing, and they're going to walk you through it and be like, hey, take a second and scan these QR codes, and whether it's on your phone or you didn't have your phone, so you went to a Chromebook or something. So to your point, yeah. And then they'd watch through, and then I've done it 20 different ways. Right now it's watch a video and then write the answers down on a piece of paper.
Oh, there's a little test?
Just like, it's like, so that I know that they read it.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you ever want to do this, it's 3 to 5 days. And how many days is it? 3 to 5, like something like that. So that way it just verifies what they watched.
Do you use a program for that?
I used to.
Yeah.
And it didn't work as well as me just using what I do now, which is paper, pen, and unlisted YouTube videos.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for a rapid fire round?
Let's go.
Okay. What is your favorite flower?
I use Shawnee Mills. I'm a Shawnee Mills guy.
Shiny Mills?
Shawnee Mills.
Shawnee Mills?
Yeah.
Where's that out of?
Out of Oklahoma. And no one thought it was going to be good. And I tried it, and I was like, holy God, this is like the most forgiving, kick-ass flour, and it makes our pizza taste super unique.
When you competed, did you use that?
Yep.
Your favorite cheese?
Favorite mozzarella cheese?
Yeah.
I use Saputo. I'm the anomaly guy using Saputo
I love
too.
it. What about curd, though?
Curd, I will choose anything Wisconsin curd. I don't care which company.
It doesn't matter.
It's curd. It works.
Your favorite tomatoes?
The from America, Stanislaus. From outside, if I'm San Marzano imported, I use Monzo.
Oh, I like that we're getting two there.
Yeah.
And then your favorite person in pizza?
I have a lot of guys that I like.
I know you love them all.
I love my.
You're the president of the World Pizza Champions.
Tony's been like an older brother to me. John Arena's been like an uncle I never had, and like an uncle that really cares.
Yeah.
So I have a soft spot in my heart for both of them. And after John Arena's keynote yesterday, I hit hard. So yeah, it's hard to say. And then also, I could just go down the line though. Like Jeff Smokovich, that guy is, such a special dude. And Tony Triano, I call Mr. Gorgeous. He's like 62 and he looks like he's 40s, but he's also the nicest guy and his family's all nice. And there's just tons of people in this industry that are cool.
What do you say, like, this industry, what I've noticed, and it took me a long time to just, like, be able to reach out to people. I mean, sometimes, like, the World Pizza Champions can kind of, you guys are all walking around and together. You're all wearing the same shit. Sometimes it feels like a little out of touch to stop one of you dudes and be like, hey, like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on, like, reaching out to people or... like, you just cold called Tony at his shop.
Well, I think that's a great point you bring up. So let's take a step back on that. Like, the World Pizza Champions started by Tony, who was like having problems with the original team he was on, and then he grew it with like 5 guys and added some other people, and I was added on. It was just kind of like, hey, if you're cool and doing some cool stuff, you can hang with us. Not much more going on than that. Some people took it and just didn't really do anything with it, or didn't respect it, or totally lived it. Cool. By around 2017, it was like there was more people on the team, but I didn't know who was active or not, and I don't like to not have something happening. So I said, hey, can we corral this? Became a 501c, and then...
What's a 501c?
501c, so we're a charity.
Okay.
Technically, like, we don't take money, we don't benefit from it. When we did that Guinness thing, we went to send kids on Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
So that's what we became. And then as more people came on the team, it's easier for us to partner with the sponsor if we're showing off their brand. So it's like, okay, let's wear the jacket. I could see now it could be almost intimidating. Like, is this a gang? Like a biker gang of pizza people? And
because like, especially like you guys all sit together and shit. And then like, even some people like, you know, like, and then I think it's like easy. People put like a target on your back, like, oh, those guys, like,
totally,
yeah, like, look at those guys.
It was never intended to be that, but I completely understand it. I want to say that anyone brought on is like, not, if they want something, cool, but they have to have, they're doing something really progressive in their community.
Yeah,
they're doing something different that we haven't really seen before. They want to be on the team because it's like, hey, you're going to have to do Make-A-Wish stuff. You're going to have to do Pizza Across America. You're going to really live the charity arm of this and be an example. And you're representing like Fortune 500 traded companies, so you can't just go off about random crap. Are you down to do all that and invest your time and effort into this grander thing?
Yeah.
So then it was like, hey, let's show team unity. And that's the intent, is that anyone who wants to be on this team, who's dedicated to like pursuing pizza, pushing their industry further, doing something different, and being a team member can. That's the goal. And there's some people like, hey, I want to be on the team. What do you want to do with it? It'll be great for my marketing. Of course. What are you going to like do with it?
Yeah.
And in terms of like us being, anyone who ever is on our team should be the most approachable, in the sense of that's our goal. That's what we talk about. Be available. Be helping. Push the industry forward. Because a big part of this was 2005, no one would talk to me when I asked for a recipe. Tony was giving out all the recipes. 2012, there was even a few people on the team at the time who, when we were at a competition, wouldn't like share their tools with me. And I was like, what the hell are we doing? Are we on a team or not?
Yeah.
And then when Smoke was like, hey, can we help each other on this competition? I was like, there's a team member.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's exactly what I want this to be. Like a group of people that are, if you need anything at any moment, they're going to be there for us and also for anyone else. Like if someone says, hey, I need help with this thing, I'm going to stop my day.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about for us, is to make the industry not so aggressively, hey, it's my own little circle, get away. Don't take my stuff. Like I want the inverse of that.
Yeah.
And Tony led by example by giving all of his recipes ever on the book. So that's what I want to do. Here's all my stuff in my book. And then that's the mission going forward.
Well, I think that kind of like, I mean, the Pizza Bible is like one of the best pizza books ever. I mean, you could, whether you're a home cook or, you know, you've been in the game for 10 years, there's something to learn. But that free flowing of information and like having that group of people and just not having to be on the team and maybe like reaching out to these people, like you recommend that.
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, we have a no a-hole factor. That's a big rule for us.
That's good. The number one rule.
And
don't be an asshole.
If someone is being an ass, you could call me. Like you could DM me. You could call me. Like,
I need to talk to the manager. Can I talk to the manager?
Like, again,
this guy was a dick to me. Can I talk to the manager?
Point, though. It's like, it's not about being. The exclusivity is not the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to push the message. Now, if anyone, also we like vet people, so that. Not out of the exclusivity arm, which is, again, the counterbalance, and I'm very cognizant that it could come off that way.
Yeah.
We're vetting the people like, hey, you're going to have to push.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be available. And it's going to be about the team more than yourself sometimes. Are you game for that?
Yeah.
And if that vibe check isn't passing, like, hey, do you want to do all, if you guys want me on a team, cool. No, you want to do all this other stuff? I mean, if I kind of have time, it's got to be like, I want this.
Yeah.
I want to do cooler things in the world. I want to do weird ass shit with pizza.
Yeah.
That's who we want on the team.
Well, you are definitely not, you're doing weird ass shit. You're doing cool ass shit. You're just doing shit all the time. I mean, also to just be like, I got all these restaurants. I'm writing books, and I'm also going to take this team. Because you're saying in 2017, when did you become president of this thing?
So Tony President, I'll be vice president. And in 2017, like, can we corral this? And Tony was like, yes, absolutely. Let's do this.
And he was like, you go.
And then in 2020, what's it, 2021? So 2022, he officially stepped down to like not have an official capacity role.
Yeah, that dude's a psychopath too. He's doing all kinds of shit. There's gonna be like 1 billion slice houses in the world.
Yep. He is the psychopath I seek to emulate in many ways. I'm like, oh, you could do all this? A lot of it was like...
Does that help you too, though? Like being that close to somebody who's like excelling like that, to be like, oh shit, I can't, like, no problem.
When we landed on the moon, what could we do? When Tony Alva went out of the bowl, oh shit, you could get out of the bowl. When a dog lifts its leg to pee, another dog now knows how to lift its leg to pee. Like until you see it done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, a pizza guy has that many pizza styles in one restaurant with a full bar?
Yeah.
And I was like, Tony, I was thinking about maybe doing a bar. He's like, you should absolutely do a bar. That was worth a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I think about doing a book. You should absolutely do a book. Certain things like that, and not coming from someone who's like just being a cheerleader. It was like, oh, this is factually how you would do it. This is how to go about it. And then seeking it to not be Bush League, because nothing he does is ever half-assed.
Yeah.
And again, people want to be around things that are, let me rephrase, apathy and passion are deeply contagious. I would much rather be around passionate people because apathy is dangerous. Like if you're around people that are like, nah, man, let's just chill. Like it seeps into you.
Yeah, of course.
No one wants to watch the documentary Heroes Sometimes Make Sushi on the Side. It's Hero Make Dreams of Sushi.
Yeah.
Hero dreams of sushi. So if you don't even like sushi, you can watch the documentary and be like, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
If it was like, yeah, I've been kind of doing this, but I'm working on my music. Like it's not something you want to actually do.
Yeah. What is like the most thing you're proud of in pizza?
In pizza, like so I mean, there's Guinness stands out. The book stands out, but I don't know if that's technically pizza.
It is like you're just in like your pizza career.
The book was the most effort I'd ever put into anything singularly. Like a lot of other things is a combination of people, but that one was just really a lot of hard, long nights. And COVID helped because I was like able to write it and just pour over every word.
Yeah.
I'd never done that to that degree. The first restaurant was extremely hard. The second restaurant I was super proud of. Then the Guinness thing had like the benefit of sending kids though, and that landed, but it was just one day. This new book has been a culmination of effort, but it was also a lot of people. So it's really hard to say. I would say the book, but like I never stopped to take stock of it. And then when I was doing, on a lark, hey, come help out the Chamber of Commerce. And then, hey, you're Chamber Person of the Year. Now you're Small Person of Oklahoma. Cool. And I get an email. Because you're Small Business Person, Entrepreneur of the Year for Oklahoma, you go to Washington for a conference. And then I was like,
you're now the ambassador of Oklahoma.
So I was like, I'll go to this conference and go to the conference. And they're like, oh, actually, the White House wants us to visit today. I didn't know that was happening. Great. And then I'm like, just having this while I'm sitting there. We're sitting in the Rose Garden for what I thought would be like 10 minutes. I didn't even know that morning officially that I was going to the White House. I'm at the White House in the Rose Garden, sitting there for an hour and 10 minutes. That was a very weird hour and 10 minutes to take stock of your whole life. Like, what the fuck am I doing that I'm here? And I'm looking behind me at the columns in the front of the White House. I'm like, I've seen those blow up in no less than 5 films. Like, that's what my mind's on. Like, I've seen that, like Mars Attacks, Independence Day. I'm going like, what are they moving? Oh, White House Down, Olympus Has Fallen. I'm just like, that blew up that. I'm just staring at it.
Yeah.
And then the president comes out and he does a speech and then like, hey, you're going to file out. And I'm filing out and go to shake hand to the person in front of me like, Mr. President, when I saw the dudes, I'm like, oh, Jesus, I'm not doing that shit. And then I was like, hey, Mr. President, he did this thing. I like did a real quick joke and he laughs and I'm like, okay, great. The Marine Corps band's there. I appreciate that. I'm leaving this very historic building. What a day. Then when it gets posted by the Twitter of POTUS, like that night, me meeting the president, out of all the people he met that day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is fucking weird. This is like a crazy day. So at that moment, that was not an accomplishment, but that was the most surreal, like, there's a lot that's happened. And I was like,
well, yeah, like, how do you take stock in that? Like, do you sit back and be like, how the fuck did I get here?
That's what it felt like.
Because it's like, you know, in 2005 or like whenever your brother's calling you and you're in San Francisco, it's like, when does the vision start? You know, like of like what you want your future to look like, and then implementing that, and then like having a moment like that and being like, holy shit, like, you know, I got here, and you're just kind of getting started, you know.
I had to. It was finding like a bookend because it's at that moment it felt like a bookend. Every other time felt like a chapter and ended, but we're going right into the next chapter.
Yeah.
My original goal was when I opened. Here's where my opening goals were, because I'm big on goals. These are the first goals I had: get a pizza box with my logo on it that I find in the trash can somewhere on the other part of town. Goal one. That somehow my pizza is ubiquitous in the zeitgeist of Owasso, Oklahoma, that it's in a trash can somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I never saw it. And then I saw like a homeless guy in like the other part of town, like only last year with like using it. Like, this is really depressing, but also very, I did it.
Yeah, there's the goal.
I was like, hey,
15 years later.
here's my Snickers and here's some money.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me reach my goals today, sir. The other one was just that that we would be known enough in the community that the news would want to do food demos with us, because I felt if we did that, I would never be able to afford the money for news. I knew that really early on. If we can monetize news to be interesting in this small community, we could get out there for cheap.
Yeah.
And then that started to happen more and more. And that happened by like 2010. And now it's on multiple news stations every month doing some type of demo or thing at no cost.
They just invite you on.
Just to help fill a segment and feed the crew.
Yeah.
Great win. And it's helped push us. But those are the only two goals at first. Once those you're like done, I was, okay. Now it became at some point like, what can we do? Because it was never really about money. I know people might say, of course it's about money. It was always about like make profit, make smart moves.
Yeah.
But it was never like, hey, no, it was always just do cool stuff and cool things will happen.
Yeah.
And it's been that pretty much the whole time.
Yeah. And to this day, do you have a set of goals that you're always trying to reach?
Yeah.
Is there less than there was?
And now we're switching them to like, okay, how we've done so many things. What can we do to tighten up ops? Like there's meticulous. They're much more defined.
Yeah.
Meticulous financial goals, lower attrition, KPIs that you can't that are less ethereal.
Yeah.
Like finite KPIs, and that's where it's at more today. And then also on the non-Andolini side with Unsliced, I want the world to just if whatever I'm doing could help someone in another town, like I could not help them to this degree 5 years ago, but with Zoom and module systems, it's possible. So if someone who's like just in the shit can get out of it, and I could do this and not have to be physically there, I think that's really, really powerful and awesome, and that gets me stoked about the future.
Yeah, of course. Wow. Let's end it there.
Okay.
I got one last question, and I know you're a music guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Who's the greatest artist or band of all time?
Band. So everything greatest has to break down into three categories. I get particular about the questions of greatest.
To you.
No, for anything.
Okay. All right. I like this.
If you're like, who's the greatest, I go the Babe Ruth rule, the Roger Maris rule, or the Barry Bonds rule. So if you say, who's the greatest? Well, he's the first who did it with the most class. You're saying Babe Ruth. You're saying, who had the most style and my personal favorite? You're going Roger Maris. If you're saying numbers on the board, you're going Barry Bonds. Okay. So people will typically answer in one of three categories. So it's like, what if you're going to say, who's
the Unsliced method of this?
Yeah. Who's the best band? You're like, okay, well, the Babe Ruth answer is the Beatles.
Yep.
If you're saying the best on numbers, you could, I guess, still say Michael Jackson by that logic of like pure numbers
Swift
on the board. What?
Or like Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift today, by that logic. And then like, who do I just want to listen to the most? I also all those bands have value to me. I dork out on 311 way harder than like most people do. I think they're the most underrated band.
Fuck yeah, 311 just happened.
Oh, the day.
The day.
Yeah. I've been to 311 Day here in Vegas. I love 311. I love Incubus. People are getting back on board with Limp Bizkit. But then
Fred Durst is back.
He's back. I love the Beach Boys. Like massive into the Beatles. I just love music so much and how it relates to the restaurant industry. I think it has a lot of similarities while being artistic but still being a business.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's my roundabout answer.
I love it. Where do we go to get in contact with you, dude?
For all things that I do, you go to getunsliced.com to see what that program is, or you can just check me out on Instagram at Mikey Bausch, and you can DM me and I will actually answer it.
Just like you answered me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. I know you have a lot going on, and this was fucking rad.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Also, the podcast looks great. I love the quality of what you guys shoot and pushing the industry forward. Very cool.
Thank you, dude.
All right, guys. Busy day.
I know, you gotta get out of here.